But it's good to bring it back into awareness that there are different types of realizations to be had. The realization of unity of the heart, where we feel our interconnectedness and this unconditional nature of being so intimately engaged with knowing ourselves as the minute details of life, where we wouldn't want to push anything away. But then we have the body, right? And the transcendent teachings don't help us with reconciling this animal survival instinct. Eventually, if you really want to have a deep and embodied realization, have it penetrate all of yourself. If you want to really be free in all aspects of your being, gotta meet this fundamental root, the survival mechanism. Make sense? I like to sometimes see how people are resonating and following. Thank you. Yeah, just want to see. And can you feel it right now? I mean, are we nicely activated? It's like kind of like a button. It's like, don't push that button. You know, it's got a red button. And we're purposely pushing it. Why? Because we're like truth seekers. We're ridiculous. They're ridiculous in that way, you know, silly. But we wanna know ourselves. We want to be free. Make things conscious. Bring things into awareness. And how do things become free? By recognizing them. Seeing it and feeling it, sensing into it. It's ourselves. It's not separate. It's not like survival mechanism. I want to feel safe is over here, animal, body, and then you're over here and going, it's the divine. It's the divine. You are the divine. So, evolutionarily, can we actually enter into freeing this up in each one of ourselves individually and collectively? This is the invitation. And it's really timely. It's imperative. No? Now look at the state of the planet. It's an imperative conversation. Because all of the strategies that we use in order to reconcile our fear of our death, of our disappearance, is raping the planet, is causing such destruction, it's the basis of greed. It's the ultimate cause of separation, is this fear of the demise of the body. So this is big stuff. It's not just a little light, fluffy topic. And I really commend you for wanting to look at it with me. But there's something so freeing about going into, you know, what's scary, what's frightening. It's like we can hold each other's hands and go there together today. And look, we all share this in common. And no wonder why the transcendent teachings are so inviting, right? Because we can bypass this. And we need the transcendent teachings. I love the transcendent teachings because we need both, right? We're both. Without the transcendence, we're lost in form and we're toast. It's a horrible suffering. It's actually hell. It's the state, unfortunately, of most of humanity. It's not, that part's not funny. So we can, if we're able to free this up in ourselves, we can give a hand to our sisters and brothers and to one another. Say, hey, this is not all that's going on, that the body and the short lifespan we have, and it's not all that's going on here. And by knowing that, we can value it and honor it and love it and not betray it by turning ourselves against one another. To really get this teaching down, and it can be a lifetime teaching. It might take a lifetime. It might take, if you believe in lifetimes, it might take more than one lifetime. And I didn't even know that I had this root. I mean, I knew that there was fear there, but I wasn't aware to what degree it was there. It's like, I feel like the understanding of it comes in layers with our ability to recognize it and see. So, layers, sheds of how we're protecting ourselves from life and from one another. That's fear. And then another layer reveals itself of how our hearts could still open in relationship to one another, to ourselves. And another layer reveals itself that there's still maybe some victim consciousness there. So these are the layers of fear revealing itself as a teacher. What if we viewed fear as a teacher? Of where we're still protecting ourselves from life, from the all. We're protecting ourselves from what fear is revealing. It's a whole nother twist, a way of viewing it, isn't it? I mean, to me, whenever fear is there, it's like a beckoning. It's like a lighthouse. It says, "Come this way." There are some rocks that you might crash upon on your way to the lighthouse, but it's, there's something here for you. And maybe what crashes are your beliefs and resistances of what fear is about. It's funny how we play this kind of hide and seek with our own selves. We both want to be nobody and nothing and be empty of the suffering that comes from believing in us being a separate self, right? We both want that and we both resist it. And how is anything supposed to happen if we're doing that, if we're doing this push-pull? Just tightens the knot, So make up your mind what you want. You can always, I actually recommend throwing in the towel and let life take care of you. Like, I don't know how to do this. Much better, much better. I don't know how to make this happen. And you step out of the resistance dance. And when you feel yourself caught in it again, just tell the truth. That's the first step always. Just tell yourself the truth. Where are you? What's going on? I feel unsafe. I don't like this. I wish it were different. I feel sad, whatever it is. Boom. It's an entryway. We don't have to go right into transcendence. I am that which is noticing that I am sad. Sure, fine. They're teaching for different times, for different things, right? There are. I might do a whole nother talk on that. And I have. But the truth is we do that until we're able just to go, sadness is here. So what? We do that, I am not that which is sad, in order to be able to deal with the fact that sadness is there. And to remember that we're not all just the sadness, right? It's a great teaching. There's something that's free of, right? Just to give it a little plug. There's something that's free of every experience. And that's true. And then once we realize that to enough degree, then you're free to be sad. Yeah? You're free to feel unsafe. Because that needs to be liberated. It's not going to be purely liberated by just knowing that's not all you are. That is a step. Does that make sense? It's a really important step to just realize that which is free of all form. That's the other half. We need both. Emptiness and form. But the form is the divine, and it's just laying in wait, lying in wait for the collective consciousness to liberate it and stop denying its experience, and then maybe we can get on with some good evolution. We don't have to be caught up in dualities and polarities and contrast all the time in order to grow. If we were in a welcoming state of all that was arising, what's the potential after that? If we're not being constantly pulled back down into identification and have experience hijacked, in order to keep bringing us back down into helping liberate that which is feeling like it's hijackable, sadness, grief, separation. It'll keep pulling you down into identification until it is free to be. Make sense? And then, awareness, consciousness, what we are, attention, can go and do, well, what else is going on? Where do I want to place my attention now? If everything is allowed to be more and more and more, it's like, wow, Can you just kind of enter that state with me for a minute? What would it be like if the consciousness wasn't so centered on the me? And all that me means. It needs to allow the me to be there first and embrace it, which helps liberate it. And then consciousness free to be free to do something else. It's like, okay, so it's not in a vortex, a gravitational pull to keep dipping into freeing the me story. Not to deny it, because that's not how it's freed. And then it's like, wow, creative, pure potentiality. Wow, what could we create here on this beautiful planet together? You know, and so all these beings that have already become free of that, what do? They go back into service to try to help liberate everyone else who's really themselves, right? Because there's no separation. And that's what all those great beings are doing, in form and out of form. Wouldn't you? Wouldn't leave any part of yourself behind? How great it is to be personally free, huh? This doesn't work that way. There's no personal freedom in the end. It's like a real fine moment. Yay, I'm free. You get to have a little party of one. Get some streamers and some bullhorns, and I'm free, and dance around your room. Tell everybody for 5 minutes and make everybody really annoyed. And they're like, great, good for you. Thanks for leaving me in the gutter, but happy for you. Go teach. Become a teacher. I'm glad this is funny to some of you. Because, you know, I passed through that little doorway too. I mean, how could I talk about any of this, you know? It's kind of like, you know, like if you become a vegetarian newly and you want to save everybody, you know, everybody become a vegetarian, or everybody, you know, discover non-duality, or everybody. And so you become like a crusader for a little bit until you realize something else wakes up, you know, and goes, this is ridiculous. You start to feel boxed in. You put yourself in a nice little box again. And that's the whole point, is to keep coming out of the box, right? The personal freedom box is the next box. And we all have it here in this chat room. We all have places that have been freed up inside. You wouldn't be here. And sometimes we forget that because we're just like onward to the next thing, which is normal, right? But if you look back at yourself and see how you don't necessarily do life in the same way, right? You might be kinder to others, kinder to yourselves, not as reactive, more open-hearted, more giving, wanting to pay attention to how your words land, you know, caring for the planet, for others, all these things that we just start to take for granted. But really, actually, these are liberations inside. This is the result of things falling away. And then truth comes over and over again and says, There's more. And that's a beautiful thing, to have truth be your main dance partner. So you don't rest. You don't rest in a little party for one. There's more. What about everybody else? And your heart opens. Your heart breaks open. It's like, oh, I'm protecting myself from feeling the suffering of life here. Why would I want to do that? Everyone, until every last person, every last being is free. Only then. That's love. For some reason, at some point, we make a dedication inside and choose love. It must be what we are. And step back into the world and say, yes, I embrace you. I embrace this world as it is. So you see where just this one feeling, this one mantra, this one koan of, oh, I want to feel safe, where it can lead us. It can lead you back to wholeness. Because as you know, we can have everything in our lives be in place and still not feel safe. So it's a good thing that we can't feel safe in the end. There's no way to feel safe. We have to go through it to really understand that. And then you go back to, really honestly, you go back to the transcendent, to that which is the unborn, right? The unborn nature. But the unborn nature, it is also the born. And so there's always going to be that interesting paradox of safe, not safe, safe, not safe. But that feeling of wholeness, it does penetrate the survival instinct of the body. It does. It starts to really penetrate the sinew and the cells and the flesh of this, of what we are, this body. Can you see this body as divine? Because if you don't, then you have work to do. And that's okay, right? Because then you know what the work is. Not to make it wrong. Like, oh, I don't see this body as divine, as an aspect that all this is divine. That's your, like, it's, life is so generous as a teacher. The ultimate teacher. Your relationship to your body, your relationship to everything. Everything, 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 everything. Doesn't mean you have to like things. Mm-mm. You're never, ever going to be asked to have to like things. But can you be open and loving regardless of whether you like something? You don't have to play around in the like world. That's dualistic. You don't have to fix everything. You don't have to like war in order to have somewhere inside a yes. Weird, I know. Or like the fact that the body goes and somewhere have a yes. Do you understand? This is important. Otherwise, we're going to be fighting life, and betraying ourselves in the process. As if the world needs to be resolved in order for us to be free. Not going to happen. Right? So we have to reconcile it somehow. Come to inner reconciliation. And that isn't by picking everything up. So I'm very happy to be with all of you. And if you feel a little bit like confused inside, or a little bit like woo inside, that's understandable. See, because we're talking about paradox, right? Making peace with inner paradox and outer paradox. You know, so many areas of our lives are touched by this desire to want to feel safe. And we can look at all these areas individually, you know, one by one, pick them up and see. Or you can go to the root. You know, something appears and reveals itself where you're holding control, and that is your doorway there to getting to the root of the survival and where it's located in your body. For most people, it's you can pretty much feel it in your gut, right? But it can be located all over, just the whole body, head to toe. For me, it's gut, but it was also the whole body, I have to say, the whole body. You know, we're not really separated into parts. We just kind of use that as a map to understand things. But it's the me, it's the I that has taken root in the flesh. Literally. Isn't that bizarre? And literally in the flesh. But it makes sense because the I is this beautiful thing that bursts itself very young. And it develops this sense of individuation, and it accesses abilities through this individuation. Like, I am the one that's learning walk, you know, I'm the one whose name this is. I'm the one who is different from you, right? This capacity to differentiate occurs through this birth of I. And I don't see it as wrong in any kind of way. It's just that it feels to me evolutionarily, we reach a point where we've had enough of that and it causes suffering, obviously, and it's time to see through it, what's really true here. Is there really an I? And so, you know, we get to look at it through the mind, maybe through meditation, right? And learn how to rest in emptiness more and more, and see that there's something that is free of that sense of I. And we start to maybe have more of an open heart and unconditional love for others, and see that we're really actually one. But then the I can still live in the body. So they call it body-mind, right? The mind has its liberation, and the body does too. So memory is of the, you know, as if I'm the one that needs to know how to walk. I'm the one that needs to know how to do anything. You've driven before and not had the I enter, right? It's a good example, right? It's just like you're just sailing along, driving, and like, oh my God, I'm driving. How is it that I've been safe this whole last 5 minutes? God, what's been doing this driving? Most people have had that experience, right? It's a nice, yeah, one. And it happens all the time during the course of the day. We just think that I is mostly here, but the truth is it's not here a lot of the time. We forget ourselves. Thank God. And that's why we love sleep so much. It's like, please just put me out. So the I is birthed, like when we get back out of sleep, right? Me. But it's not just a thought, it's inherent, it's held in the body. And this is where the survival instinct and where I want to feel safe really comes from. Sometimes people send me messages that they have to leave for some reason. Okay, thank you for letting me know. So, yeah, let me see if there's anything else on my little list of 3 things I wanted to talk about. Oh, I wrote, we subconsciously are aware that we are going to die. Yes. Sometimes consciously, but it's this running program in the background. Right? And this is the body. It's like, it contracts around that. And it's so insidious. It just it weaves its way into every aspect of our lives. Isn't it true? And again, I'll go back. How we treat ourselves, how we treat each other, how we treat the planet Earth, and see this as an object. I mean, like, how far removed can we be? It's really sad to see one another, ourselves. First, it starts with ourselves. To see ourselves as an object, as an I, as a separate self. That's an object. To see one another, and then to see the earth. Wow. It's like this it's a horrible sickness. What a mess. What a mess we've made of things. I don't know about you, but the news is very depressing. I try to balance it out. I like to be informed because that's just kind of how I am, but I don't want to be too informed. Take nice long breaks. But you know, it's not like blame game. It's more like, wow, look at this, what this initial innocent misunderstanding has brought about. That's the power of this innocent misunderstanding, that we're objects of an awareness to ourselves. We see ourselves as an I. If you believe there's an ego, you're an object to yourself. You have that felt sense, your thought. If you believe there's ego. There's no ego. I've said this before, and I'll say it to my dying day. Show me an ego. Prove to me. And prove to me there's really a separate self. I'll say that you can imagine it, but that doesn't prove it. So I would say question that. I feel it to be very unkind. I feel it to be harmful. Because then we're still like in relationship to ourselves. That's my ego speaking. That's your ego. That's unkind. Jeez. No, that's an innocent misunderstanding. It's some kind of pain there that believes in separation. Ouch. And just go to the heart of it instead of labeling it. Feel what you're feeling rather than distance yourself from it. Saying there's an ego is just another survival strategy, coping mechanism for feeling separate. But actually enter into what you're feeling. That's your doorway. Oh, there's an invitation here. There's sadness here, there's pain here. It's not your ego. You remember that commercial, "Let Go of My Ego"? It was like, it's an American thing. It's this waffle. I'm like, let go of your ego. Like, drop it. There's no ego. It's just a word. You know, we've created words. You need to break down your belief in words and look behind the meaning of what you've taken to be real. This is really good stuff. It's like really take apart everything. And I'm not want to make it wrong. I don't want to make anyone wrong, what you do wrong. I'm just trying to bring a little awareness here, if it resonates. And if it doesn't, I invite you to look at what your investment is in believing in ego. I mean, it's not my business. What do you get out of it? Is it helping liberate you? That's the question, right? Is it helping free you to believe in it? Or is it another way to make yourself feel ashamed, wrong, separate? Makes sense? It's a battle. Why do we want to have an inner battle with ourselves? No. So just if you feel pain, acknowledge it. You don't need to strategize around it. That's more direct, and that's what liberates. Does this make sense?